Last try. Let's see if it's going to give us any service. Right, sorry guys, I don't know why it keeps dropping out. It's really annoying. So, the glamorous life of a tech CEO. I'm going to the shop to get some bread. How exciting, rock and roll lifestyle. So, as I was saying, this car is coming up to like 900 miles. I've done 888 miles. Very lucky if you're Chinese watching. It's generally pissed off at everyone all the time, this car. It's an amazing piece of kit. It's four-wheel drive. It actually feels rear-wheel drive. Just because of the way it puts the power down. It's nimble and it's quick. The lock-to-lock on the steer is really fast. It can catch you out in bends even though it's four-wheel drive. Get a bit of grease or a bit of diesel and it will go. And you know about it really quickly because you get lots of feedback from the steering. Just before we set off, obviously we've got drive mode here. So there's various scary drive modes that you can put it in. It's always in normal when Darcy's in the car for pretty obvious reasons. It's a lot quieter in normal and the suspension's really compliant. If you look at the dashboard, it's in normal now. You can whack it in sport, you can whack it in racetrack, not advisable on public roads, and you can whack it in drift mode. I put it in drift mode on the second day that I bought it. It's really easy to drift. I think my mum could probably drift this thing in the dry. So we're going to go for a little drive now. You can hear it ticking over. I'll keep it in normal mode. Oh, actually no, I won't. I'm going to put it in sport mode, and then you might be able to hear the exhaust go crazy when we go down the hill. I'm not going to show the speedo for obvious reasons. I'm going to show me driving, so I'm just going to flip the view now, and I hope that we maintain the internet connection. You can probably see me there. You're in the passenger door well. Let's set off very nicely and make sure that we're very safe today. God, that Audi's clean. My car is filthy. If anybody wants to wash it for me, please feel free. So we're just going to go down to the bottom of Hayes Road in Yorkshire. It's very narrow. And we're going to get on the main road, and hopefully we're going to be able to go through a national speed limit zone so you can see what this thing is all about. So you don't really need to play with the gears a lot in this thing. It'll rev really high. I generally just keep it in second or third when I'm driving it around. You do need two hands on the steering wheel though, kids, because it has got a bit of a temper. So we're going to go down the road. I'm going to turn onto a main road. Hopefully there'll be no traffic, and I'll give it a bit of noise and see how it feels today. This car's actually called Raindrops. My daughter christened it because it's blue. My previous one was called Kermit. It was a green Seat Ibiza. No, it was a Leon FR diesel. It came out of the factory at 185. I had that super chip to 235. That was a nut car. It would still do 50 miles to the gallon, and it was fast as anything. This thing, will not do 50 to the gallon. Maybe if you drive it around at 20 miles an hour all day, but certainly not the way that it should be driven. So we're out on the open road now. You can probably hear that it makes a lot of noise, you know, kind of equates to the speed that it's travelling at. There was a bit of a pop out the back there. I don't know whether you could hear it. You'll basically hit in this thing with the Mount Dew kit, you'll basically hit 60 in the wet or on sheet ice in less than 5 seconds. It's a very nimble piece of kit. Sun's shining, getting a bit hot in here, so I'll whack the aircon on in a minute. Stereo system's amazing in this thing. Sync 3, your iPhone will link up to it. Obviously you get all your apps on the screen, so it's very easy to drive. It's also got voice command. You can press a button and just talk to the thing, including asking it where you can get some food or get some petrol. I didn't actually buy it for all the kit that's inside it, although it is teched up to the max. I basically bought it because it's 5-door, it's got loads of space, and it's the right size for these roads, and there's not much that could probably get off the line quicker than this thing. Even on the twisters. My other car, it's not like this at all. It's two-wheel drive, it's rear-wheel drive. It's slightly older than this one, more power than this one actually, completely different beast to drive. Yeah, both challenging in their own way to get power down and to keep control really, but both very interesting to drive. Both cars that you need to concentrate when you're driving, otherwise you can have a massive mistake. So we're in traffic now. I'm doing 42 in a 40 zone, bad. I need to get back to 40. It's perfectly happy to sit in traffic. It's perfectly happy in normal mode to be treated like a normal family hatchback. It will not moan, it will just get on with it. Whack it in sport mode, it's a bit more of a pain because the throttle wants to go all the time, and the reaction time for the throttle to action in sport and in track is very narrow indeed. Bit of a pain when you're in traffic, to be honest. Brembos, we'll give them a bit of a try in a minute because we're approaching some traffic lights. It stops phenomenally quick. I used to ride sports bikes. This thing will stop quicker than a sports bike, even in the wet, which is really good if you've got kids as well, by the way. It brings you to a nice, refined, slow stop, not like other sports hatchbacks that I could mention that are available. I guess the last thing to say before I pull into the petrol station to get my bread, probably the worst thing about this car, if there was a worst thing, is just the image that it's got. Massive wheels, massive kit, the Ford badge on the front is electric blue. It basically just screams boy racer to everybody else. I still bought it and waited a year for it rather than getting a Golf R or an Audi RS3 or S3. I bought it despite its looks, and actually the looks were probably the one thing and the only one thing that would have put me off. I think Ford could have probably made it a bit more refined, to be honest, but hey, guess what? They've still sold out the UK allocation. Right, rock and roll lifestyle. I'm in the petrol station. I'm going to go and get some bread. Wow, amazing. I'll be back online on the way back, and I'm going to take a different route.